Hello and welcome to my Son de France. So today I'm about getting ready for bed. I'm not going to be on TikTok. I haven't for the last 48 hours. So I'm just hanging out and doing really good. And I feel like sane again. I don't know. But I've been writing in my journal and you guys have not been up to date, I think. Um let's see, what did I last read you about Westman? August 31st, 2024. Let's see. Hurupa Valley. I'm not too sure when's the last time yeah, the last time I did give you something, it was about Westman. And I think we didn't go over, let's see, it says August 31st. So y'all are not caught up for August either. The rest of the end of August and the beginning of September. Um, Towards the middle, because now we're in the middle, right? Almost there. Okay. So I'll begin with August 31st, 2025. In Afghanistan, an earthquake of severity shook near the border with Pakistan. 20 lives were claimed, thousands injured, many remain missing as search and rescue teams searched through rubble. Two aftershocks over 5.0 magnitude were reported after initial 6.0 magnitude earthquake devastated the region. So I checked. I guess the end of August, the beginning of September, I checked the death toll count was at 600. And I'm not too sure if I really went over these or I didn't. So if you don't mind hearing them again, this is just excerpts from my journal and headline news and current events, things in my world that affect me. So September 5th, 2025 at 5:20 p.m. Friday, the pyrite fire in Jurupa Valley in California. Um, Wildfire threats and risks continue as one erupts, affecting the area near Los Angeles. The evacuation orders as of then had remained. The brush fire caused 521 acres to burn. And this was probably September 7th or something. So then I wrote about Davy Johnson's death. Davy Johnson dies at 82, September 5th, 2025. He played for several clubs and managed the Dodgers, the Washington Nationals, the Mets. He also managed the Orioles in 96 to 97, whom he played for in 1965 through 1972. He managed the Reds in 1993 through 1995. He was born in Florida. He passed in Sarasota, Florida. He was raised in San Antonio, Texas, where in college he became a mathematician. As a player, he went on to the World Series as well as Olympic. He also played baseball for Japan. Um, Bloquin's tout French call for nationwide strike after vote for Sebastian Lecornu on September 9th, 2025 was won. 200 were arrested that day of Bloquin's tout on September 10th, 2025. Iztapalapa, Mexico de Fe, Mexico. That's Mexico City, in a small town called Iztapalapa. A fuel tanker truck exploded on a highway with train rails that cross above, intersecting the bullet trains. Um, The tanker exploded, setting cars into flames, causing 8 deaths, 90 injuries, and almost 20 were sent to the ICU. So you can see this going viral online currently still. They had a bunch of kids that were sent to the hospital, and they were finding one girl. She left her phone and her purse, and all her things had fell, right where she was. And I guess they took her to the hospital and picked up her uni ID and her phone and called her mom and dad. And they were looking through who they can contact and tell them that they didn't exactly know which hospital or what location, because there was a children's hospital nearby, but there was also another hospital that adults were taken to. So they were like not sure where she was located. And like a lot of kids were, they were calling their moms. And after they were severely burned, they were calling their family. And you can hear messages and stuff on the viral clips, and see one grandmother. She covered her her granddaughter with her body, and her everything, her clothes burned off of her, and the child was severely burned. Luckily, a, a bike cop came, picked up the baby, and took the baby in, and the grandmother ended up in the ambulance um, several moments later. But a lot of people were coming together. They were putting out the blaze of cars and trying to pick up, what had happened. And and there were people donating food. So the people who were doing all the throwing the water on the cars and all that, they would eat. And they were trying to help out with the medical staff at the hospitals and stuff. Because like they have stories that are viral right now about people just missing the train or what have you. Like I saw one girl, she was crying. She said, "I'm gonna donate some gelatins to the nurses here because my sister," she said, she was in tears. She was like, "My sister," I'm sorry, it gets me emotional. Just like I was a severely burned as a kid, and like I had to go into rehab to be mobile. So like it touches me a little bit differently than it would anybody else, I guess. So that's why I'm happy, like, to whenever St. Jude needs me to help out at a benefit or a gala or something, because without people like that, kids wouldn't get the opportunity to recuperate fully and have medical care like that. So that way they're not severely disfigured or in pain. But she was coming on the train and turned around and "I forgot my bag," and she went back to go get her bag. Oh no, she went back to go get her lunchbox or something like that, and then she went to go um catch a train, but she was too late or whatever. And so the sister was telling the story about how she missed out on getting on the train on time, and that train that she would have taken was the same one that had been exploded from the bottom highway, because there was like a tanker traveling on the highway, and above there's bullet trains. And the explosion was very big because it had like 13,000 gallons of fuel in it. And so it was very big. And like I said, cars were set on fire. There were other fuel tanks nearby, and they were partially burned as well. So luckily, those did not explode. And so total, I saw 3 tankers, and the original one had exploded, and the flames reached the top and burnt out the train cars. And like I said, there was a lot of kids that were coming out of school and stuff. And so like you hear all these stories about um, the victims and stuff and their stories online. And I just wanted to share that one with you. So you can You can go and check it out for yourself. So then 10 million are without power in Cuba as blackout causes loss of electricity. So they said that this has happened about 5 other times this year. And also in Congo, if you guys didn't know, Ebola in Congo doubles and begins affecting various regions. They had a case of Ebola causing infection, and it wasn't widespread. It was concentrated in one small vicinity. Now it's spreading, and that, I think everybody needs to be aware of that. So Jair Bolsonaro, the 38th president of Brazil, was sentenced September 11th, 2025 to 27 years in prison. After a month on house arrest and a year of legal battles, he served in office 2019 to the 2023. He has a strong military background and was charged with forming a coup. So he just started having these legal problems, and he was found guilty of forming a coup against Brazil and trying to have like corrupted vote. So Nepal unrest continues, having cited Wi-Fi access denial by government authorities. And to be more clear about the Wi-Fi access denial, they were particularly pointing at certain social media apps in particular. So they were just giving out some, of the ones that they had blocked. But like we all know, Wi-Fi access is a communication concern. So if one country blocks access to Wi-Fi, it is kind of blocking and hindering them from communicating with the world. And that's red flags, because we want to ensure, especially like the UN wants to ensure that people are able to, voice concern, or, be heard if something goes on, or, like we just need to make sure that everything's squared up in that country, whatever country. And like a lot of them that cause things like this, they also have other things that were found corruption, or, they were found guilty of doing things like forced disappearance, and imprisoning like certain groups and like that. But this time, I think instead of other countries or other, agencies and offices and officials coming to check them, this was something that was an infight, so to speak, a kind of civil unrest. So after they denied certain Wi-Fi access, the military had to enforce a curfew because rioting started plaguing the nation. Burning of government office buildings, dragging officials out, and even assault. Some viral clips circulated online of a politician's paralyzed wife being carried to safety by the mob, which the same angry mob threw politicians into a river. So this started September 9th, 2025. The PM KP Sharma Oli resigned along with several other officials that then fled the country. President of Nepal, Pardal, met with the protesters and included other officials to talk about a new vote. So they want a new PM, and the president Pardal, he was hoping that they would feel like he extended an olive branch, I guess, and then the public would trust him again, I guess. So this is an ongoing issue for Nepal and the civil unrest. 1,300 and 500 prisoners escaped almost 1,500 injuries. This is same from Nepal. This is today's updates. Over 50 people were killed. These 4 days of violence include, but not limited to, the riots, looting, and arson. Like I said, it's ongoing still as of September 8th, 2025. And India got a new VP, CP Radhakrishnan, sworn in September 12th, 2025, um, involved in policy as a politician since 1974. So that's a pretty good background, if you ask me. You know, I'd say he's bad down, right? Albania has voted in an AI bot to allow public information to flow and thereby gaining trust. In which case, people always like to bring up corruption in Albania's government, but the spot was named Diala. It was given the title Minister of Public Procurement, allowing businesses to be contracted by state and purchases, sales, and bids, i.e., state contracts, more easily. So, state contracts with the fulfillment of the Minister of Public Procurement, i.e., Dahlia, the AI bot, in Albania. I think that's something worth mentioning because this AI bot is going to give out information regarding state contracts, legal, like legality and do's and don'ts, and things that interest people who are wanting contracts or making contracts and stuff like that, dealing with buying and sales and stuff like that for the government at state levels. This is in Albania. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. And Charlie Kirk died at an event held by Utah Valley University debating students. This was organized by staff for the Republican Party Club. The shooter remains at large. Now, I'd like to say Charlie Kirk is an influencer, and he is the CEO of Turning Point, a youth organization. Co-founder, he is Charlie Kirk. He also died by one fatal gunshot almost instantly. The footage released shows sniper on the roof as he spoke and offered extremist response, blaming gangs and transsexuals for mass shootings. His very last responses. As Charlie Kirk body begins to be laid to rest in his home state of Arizona, which, by the way, was flown out in irony, in an ironic twist, on Air Force Two. The suspect of 22 years, Tyler Robinson, confesses to his father, who immediately calls the authorities. The cops apprehend him, still wearing the street clothes in which he committed the crime. Our President Donald J. Trump calls for capital punishment and peaceful ballot response, as many, including Laura Loomer, vow retaliatory vengeance on the lives of those responsible. They are currently investigating whether more were involved. Trump has announced plan to attend the funeral of the victim. Like I said, an influencer that was present during campaign live streaming each and every event heavily. So he feels kind of pulled to respond in showing support for his constituents, specifically by attending funeral and making sure that he's seen and physically there. Like I said, Charlie Kirk live streamed heavily during the campaigning of Donald J. Trump, our second term president. He was elected, but the fact that that was kind of an outlet for people to use media to gain access into each event, I think he has mentioned that it was helpful. It was a helpful tool for those who were interested in voting, and especially those who were, you know, looking at their presidential nominee in live stream. And that was what Charlie Kirk had accomplished, I guess. And for that, I think our president is, showing his respects, and in response, he will be attending the funeral of Charlie Kirk. So thank you guys for watching. We're all caught up now. And yeah, thank you for watching and subscribe. We're on our way to 100 subscribers. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. My Sunday front. Bye.